Happy Friday! Back to our regularly scheduled setting. It's definitely my favourite setting to do this in. I do, however, only have a short amount of time again. Tarot cards. Osho cards, these, again, these have played a big role throughout my life. Mum taught us how to play with these cards when we were kids. I remember coming home from school some days, trying to deal with bullies and wondering why things were happening and just observing things unfold, and the stupid cards always had the lessons. All right, so today, look what we picked. My intention was something that would be useful for everybody, and myself included, and to be honest, this is a humdinger. That's on. All right, just checking my mic was on. All right, I'm going to let my tea cool down for a second while I read this. All right, the card's called Exhaustion. This is the portrait of one whose life energy has been depleted in his efforts to keep fueling the enormous and ridiculous machine of self-importance and productivity. Come sit a little bit closer. Lincoln's here. This makes me so happy. He has been so busy keeping it all together and making sure everything runs smoothly that he has forgotten to really rest. No doubt he can't allow himself to be playful. To abandon his duty for a trip to the beach could mean the whole structure might come tumbling down. The message of this card is not just about being a workaholic, though. It's about all the ways in which we set up safe but unnatural routines for ourselves, and by doing so, keep the chaotic and spontaneous away from our doors. Life isn't a business to be managed, it's a mystery to be lived. It's time to tear up the time card, break out of the factory, and take a little trip into the uncharted. Your work can flow more smoothly from a relaxed state of mind. I can attest to that. A man who lives through conscious becomes hard. A man who lives through conscious becomes hard. A man who lives through consciousness remains soft. Why? Because a man who has some idea about how to live naturally becomes hard. He has to continuously carry his character around himself. That character is like his armor, his protection, his security. His whole life is invested in that character, and he always reacts to situations through the character, not directly. If you ask him a question, his answer is ready-made. That is the sign of a hard person. He is dull, stupid, mechanical. He may be a good computer, but he is not a man. Do something, and he reacts in a well-established way. His reaction is predictable. He is a robot. Come. We'll go outside. The real man acts spontaneously. If you ask him a question, your question gets a response, not a reaction. He opens his heart to your question, exposes himself to your question, responds to it. Man, well, has there ever been a time where that card's more important? Stupid cards. Even getting back on the gym floor and going through this little cycle, I can see. Like, different when you're in phases, different when you know that there's a goal. Like, I know that there's an end to this. I know that this is temporary. I know that we have 4 weeks until the mountains, which is our rest for the year. I know that after that, we've got about 6 months on top before we're trying to escape from Hong Kong. Not trying, we're going to. Where we end up, I do not know, but it's time for us to leave this city. And even with filling in those clients and still maintaining my agency clients and my online clients, suddenly the area of free time has gone from this to this. And that's fine, again, when it's a phase. But when that becomes the norm, and it's just reminding me of exactly what I did when I was building my agency and, creeping it into 6 days a week, 7 days a week, going into the office. Oh, because it's fun. Oh, because it's our business. Oh, because we love it. We should be able to do it all the time. And there's this very crazy thing that happens when you forget to give yourself a life outside of the thing that you're doing. The thing that you're doing then consumes you, and then what happens when the thing that you're doing actually falls apart? And I think that's where a lot of people even get stuck further. They put so much heart, so much effort, so much energy into something, and it's like, at what point does that line become, you are literally just forcing and pushing this, and it will always feel this heavy, instead of going, maybe this isn't the right thing for me, or maybe this isn't even what I want. Like, I shit you not, the feeling I had when I'd sort of made the decision that I couldn't keep building the agency the way that I wanted to build it. Down to where my character was at that time and how willing I was to have hard conversations and to look into things. I wasn't. So, this isn't all on somebody else, but I realized I was working with somebody that I couldn't work with. And no amount of forcing or reasoning or logicaling my way out of that. I'd already got to the point where I thought we would be able to build this up and work our way out of those systems. And technically, that's how you scale. But to actually do that in practice, when one, you've never done it before, and two, you've never actually managed other people to the point where you can keep a well-oiled machine running, especially on something like content creation, because it's ongoing, it's daily. Once you turn that account on, once you start with those clients, there's a commitment to keep producing. And so any hiccups that happen behind the scenes doesn't stop the fact that the content needs to go out, and it must go out. Oh, this is why it makes me so happy working with the Legacy Builder guys, honestly. I was just so happy that I was able to see people doing it the way that I knew was possible. Now, would I have still wanted to go and have implemented and build what they did as the boss? No. I'm more than happy to be working within a company like that and helping support. Brilliant. I do not need that type of... I think I realized quite quickly as well that was not the type of stress I wanted to deal with in my business. And I'm not sure if that's also because we were saying yes to the wrong types of clients, which meant, when you're in that state and you're building your own thing, again, you start to say yes to things that you don't always want to say yes to because of the monies. And the problem when you make those decisions is then you get pissed off, and then the client gets pissed off, and then the whole thing implodes eventually. I think this is where I was struggling for so long, because it just kept me realizing it's like the roots of the person, the roots of the thing that you're building. What is the essence of what you are building? Where's the core? And where's the training of the love, of the joy, of the making sure that it makes sense, that it's feeding the business? It's where, we've talked about it before, same as I've seen in gyms, I've seen in so many other places, they're very quick to underpay their staff. And I'm like, your staff are the ones that are fueling your business. How about you just nicely and slightly overpay your staff, and guess what? They don't leave. You treat them well, they stay. And it's easier to build people into businesses that then learn about your clients and stay with you long time. It can grow with your business, but that's also another skill set. Like, most business owners have also never done this before. So it's their first business, which means they get it to a certain point, they manage to maintain it, and then it's like, I remember seeing one of our clients and sort of taking a peek behind the curtain of their business, and I'm like, how are the lights even still on? Like, it's amazing what you can duct tape together, and I think this is the nastiest trap in the world, is that there are so many people putting on a front of how well their businesses are doing that are slowly dying on the back end or on the inside, or are struggling so hard that it's like this... I've never been able to play those games. Never been able to play those games. Like, it is written all over my face if I don't want to be somewhere. Like, I can do it for like a certain period of time, and again, means to an end. If I have a project or a goal in my mind as to why I am doing something, I can stick it out for 6 to 12 months. But after a year, nope. That was the most hilarious thing looking at my CV after I'd been freelance. Quit university in between 18 and 25. I'd been working freelance since I was 15 technically, but between 15 and 25, I'd been self-employed. I'd been my own boss. I'd gone and got my own projects. I'd made my own money. I'd moved within this world in my own autonomy. And then when my injury happened, I needed to be dependent on somebody else to give me an income because that's all I knew. That I lost the use of my legs. So my income disappeared in an afternoon. And so I had to lean on, luckily again, I didn't even go into a regular job. I managed to Again, it makes me laugh when the stars align. A family friend of ours had bought a protein company at the time, and because I just qualified for my personal training qualification, I was like, sweet, okay, well, at least I'm fitness adjacent and able to lean on my artwork and lean on my graphics and lean on my design. And I'd just come out of that phase of building me and my sister's personal brand, the Howard sisters, up to like 13,000 followers online. And we were getting brand deals and we were getting different sponsorships and things from companies here and doing exchanges and so many chapters. So many chapters, and I think that is one thing that I've been very good at, is walking away if I don't, like, it's hard and sometimes that part's dragged out a lot, but walking away and starting again. I'm not afraid to start again. And I think that again, that when you're building your own business and you've built these walls and you've built this thing and you've built this whole thing around you and you've literally, you've literally put yourself into this machine that's running and things that are operating and things that are moving, and you get to that point where you have made it all important and you have become the entire bottleneck, that if you take a break, everything falls to pieces. That is not a business. That is that is an expensive hobby. And that's always been something, especially with the nature of what I did with my spine injury and what happened, it has been something that I've been working on learning and working on building. It's like, how do you create that stability for yourself where if it's not one thing, it's other things? How do you diversify your income so that it's not all also coming from one tap source? Because what happens, oh, did you see the gecko run up the wall up here? We have one that sits in this top corner over here in the evenings. I've called him Carl. Carl the gecko. Don't think we've got any more. I love that we have geckos all over the house. I think so much of this card just reminds me, and so much of what I'm even reiterating at the moment is rules for who, rules for what, rules for why, and that, like, I've just question everything. Question everything. I mean, I was even getting to a point where I was finding my kind of flow with how I was telling clients how they should be doing their content and like a regular cadence. And, 2 years ago we were saying 3 to 5 times a week or daily. You're going to come say hi, dude. Come here. Oi, come here. There you go. There's Lincoln. There's Lincoln. There's my fuzzy friend. Hi. Look, watch. He always shakes me off after I've touched him. Go on. There, see? It always shakes off the human. But I was getting to a point, even where I was recommending, like, I still similar, daily if you can with certain things. But again, daily's not even necessary. I don't even post daily on Instagram anymore. And I'm still getting more views and more stuff than I have. I think that was when Sarah Snow broke my brain on the Instagram stuff too. She was teaching once a week, posting, but once a week, thought out, thoughtful, beautifully crafted, beautifully creative script that rolls into a story that was a looped reel. And her clients were going, like, I think it was called the Viral Boot Camp or something. And, that's another way of doing it. Some people post every day. I have one of my other coaches that I was in his group, his YouTube group at the end of last year. He put up something the other day, he's like, post 8 times a day. Because there's the volume game. And again, this is where the nuance comes in. This is where the coaching comes in. This is where the strategy session comes in. It's like, I can't give you the advice that you need in something like this. I can give you tools, I can give you frameworks, but the craziest things, you've already saved most of those. You probably already have half of those stored in your computer, unless you've actually gone through the reps of testing how you enjoy creating content. Like, that is the biggest thing. Try daily. If it sucks, don't do it. Try keep up with twice a week. Try keep up with once a week. But put your own thought into how your clients also operate on the back end. Like, I don't think it's necessary for an F&B company to be posting posts every single day. I think once a week is great. Keep the page up and running. Stories, yes, because they disappear in 24 hours, and that's a live feed of people showing that you're open. opening times, come for the lunch break, show the tables, show, same as with the gym, turn the lights on in the morning, have whoever comes in first, take a little video, lights are going on, we're open, another day, because it's that consistency. That was something I'd learned when I was working at F45, taking the morning classes. Every morning I would do a little story of turning the lights on at the gym, and then I'd write out the classes that I was working for that day. And I remember like 4 or 5 months of doing this I started getting comments from different people going, whoa, you're really disciplined. I'm like, no, I'm showing up for work. Does anybody else tell you you're really disciplined for going to the office and doing your job? I was like, my clients are disciplined. They're the ones coming into class at the same time that I am, except I'm getting paid to be there. They are paying to be there. Like, that's the discipline. So I also feel like the perception of how, it's so easy to warp how you present yourself, but this is what this tool has allowed us to do. It's allowed us to tell our story and to show where our passions and our curiosities lies, and to develop that relationship with people online so that we become the person that they know in this field and that they can come to you for that. Dong, dong, dong. What do you offer? Who do you serve? How do they pay you? Dong, dong, dong. But the exhaustion, man, the building it up, so big so that there's no room to breathe, that's the hardest part, because that's the toughest little hole to escape from. Because in order to get out, other things have to happen, which means how do you make more happen on top of an already exhaustive schedule, on top of an already frazzled person, on top of an already manic kind of situation? That's why I think undoing, like, less is more. And that's why, again, I really think that you have to focus on your own fitness and your own health and your own wellness first. Like, if all you can do at the end of a day is go for a little 10-minute walk with no phones, with no nothing, just to fucking decompress from life, like, that is a good start. That is a good start, because it's getting that quiet enough to be able to actually filter what the fuck's going on. We are more capable of handling a lot more stress than we also give ourselves credit for. But when we don't train our body to deal with that resistance, everything that's coming at us in life feels really hard. And we're almost moving into this like defensive mode where everything's just being pushed away or shuffled, or, but it keeps coming. It keeps coming, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and everything's just, it's that energy. That's all I can, yeah. Such a waste, huh? Such a waste that we can spend so many years just exhausted in these loops and in these spirals to turn around and for what? And be like, oh, maybe I should have done my own thing in the first place. I will always be an advocate for people setting up their own thing. I do realize it's not for everybody. I really do. But I do know that everybody could do it if they so choose. We all know how these devices work. We all have a voice. We all hopefully have an opinion, or at least are looking to form one so that we can actually create something. But art, music, writing, anything. I'm always getting to the point where it's like, I really want to get like comments. Think of the most ludicrous business idea you can think of, and I'll write out like a little strategy of how I could think of creating an MVP for it, because it genuinely blows my mind. Like, there are people out there who are taking cum and putting it into jewelry. There are people out there who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars off their pets because they create these stories and these lives and build their audiences. There are pet influencers. Always reminds me of that thing about somebody invented the pool noodle. The amount of shit that we have in our lives, the amount of crap that is produced on a day-to-day basis, the amount of people that just produce something because they've seen it and they want 5 different copies. Hello, Taobao. Like, it's so gross sometimes, but you can really make whatever you want. You really can. You really can. If it means enough to you, and if it's something that you see as something that you want to develop, make it. Make it. Start. Bring it into this world. You are the only person that can do that. Nobody else can do it for you unless you build up enough of an arsenal of an income that then you can pay teams to do it. Because that's also the next level of playing this, right? Ideally, that's also where I move into business acquisitions. I buy it, make sure it's actually working, but I'm never putting myself in a position where I am stuck in operations, because I think that's one of the hardest gaps to leap. Not impossible, of course, because you can scale yourself out. And usually you have to do the things at the beginning that don't scale in order to get yourself to the point where you can scale yourself out. But again, how do you do that without getting stuck in the day-to-day and then suddenly looking it up going, shit, it's been 3 years, I'm feeling like a broken person, and we haven't even started to actually put any frameworks or anything into it, and it's all a mess, and it's all like, what's the plan? What's the goal? And what are you keeping the boundaries as of things that I will do for X amount of time that then have to be solved versus, at what point does this get put into the budget? At what point does this get delegated? Because you're always in a position where there's that stretch, right? It's like you want to pay for somebody, but the role hasn't potentially been fully filled, or you have some work, but you only have enough for a part-time something, but you need someone full-time because there's more coming in. So this is where it helps to be with coaches and mentors, honestly. This is it. This is the key. You want to get to that next level, you want to learn from somebody that's done it. That's honestly my game plan for the rest of this year. I'm getting back into JK Molina's group for the bots, and then I'm getting back into Becca's circle. That's it. Everything else in between, earning my income, doing my stuff, making sure that I'm selling my strategy sessions, but I want to learn how to build it properly. And there are a few people that I've honed in on over the years that I trust, that I know I will listen to, that I know I've followed for long enough to respect their decisions and to trust that they know what they're doing, trust that they know more than me, and trust that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I can do the work, I can do the reps, I can put the stuff in, but having somebody there who's able to turn around and be like, keep going, or actually change gear, or did you even look at that? Like, there are so many blind spots that we have, and again, when you are so full and so in operation mode, it could be screaming at you from right here and you won't even notice. You could have been ignoring it for months, and you kind of knew, but you didn't want to look at it because everything's too busy, and I don't have time. Just make sure you're not too busy being busy for the sake of being busy. That's all I can say. There is so much more to life than being busy. There is so much more fun that can happen when we can build from that relaxed mind. And the only way to build from a relaxed mind is to build a relaxed life. And we currently live in a world that is very not relax. Very not relax. Anyway, I've just realized the time. I love you guys. I'm going to have to go. I want to just stay here and chat all day. That's how I know this was a good idea. So, episode 50-something. I cannot wait till we hit 100. I think we're going to be in our 60s or 70s before we hit the mountains. 4 more weeks till Peru. I'm so excited. I've got to do some last minute shopping stuff, make sure we've got all our thermals and everything. And yeah, in case anybody was interested, these are the cards that I've always played with. Osho Zen Tarot. Stupid cards. Happy Friday.